Adrian, good evening.
Good evening.
Yeah. So today is a practice session and it's going to be our last class for the first part of the writing, so the integrated writing. And what we're going to do is as I was telling you, today our last class for the first task of the writing section, the integrated writing. And as programmed by our calendar, we're going to be practicing. So what we're going to do is you guys are going to be writing an essay based on the material that I'm going to give you, and we'll be checking it in class since it only lasts 20 minutes. So we'll have plenty of time to check your essays in class. Okay, guys? So I'm going to send you the link to this document. I am sending you guys the link to the document through our Zoom chat. Please open it and remember that you have 3 minutes to read the text. So I'm gonna wait for you guys to open the text. Okay. Okay, guys, so please, starting now, you have 3 minutes to read the text, and then we'll play the lecture. Right, now we will listen to the lecture. So please pay attention and take notes.
Now listen to part of a lecture on the topic you just read about.
None of the three people mentioned in the reading was probably the author of the Voynich manuscript. According to the first theory, whoever wrote the Voynich manuscript thought they were conveying information so important or so powerful that they used a special code to keep it secret. That doesn't fit what we know about Anthony Ascom. Ascom was just an ordinary physician and scientist whose books didn't contain any original ideas. For instance, the little herbal mentioned in the reading was a description of common plants based on other well-known sources. So, given what we know about Ascom, his books, and the kind of knowledge he had, it seems unlikely he was the author of such an elaborately coded secret document. Second, although Edward Kelly was notoriously good at tricking people, it seems unlikely that he created the Voynich manuscript as a fake magical book to sell to some rich people. You see, the creator of the Voynich manuscript took a lot of care to make the text look like a real code. But people in the 16th century were quite easy to fool, so it was not necessary to make something this complex. If Kelly wanted to create a fake for money, there's no reason he would have put so much work into creating a manuscript like this when a much simpler book would have suited his purpose just as well. Third, we've been able to date the manuscript materials using modern methods. Both the vellum pages and the ink on the pages, both the vellum and the ink are at least 400 years old. That rules out Voynich as the author. If Voynich wanted to create a fake, maybe he could use vellum pages taken from some old manuscripts, but where would he get 400-year-old ink? So, it seems the manuscript was created centuries before Voynich obtained it.
Summarize the points made in the lecture, being sure to explain how they challenge the specific theories presented in the reading passage.
Okay, guys. So you already have the template for the theories. It's in the previous document, the one that we worked on yesterday. You should have access to that document, and if not, let me know so that I can send the link again. Okay, guys. And now you will have 20 minutes to write yes. Okay. So it's 8:18. So until 8:38. Okay, guys. If you have questions, let me know. I'll be right here. So just let me know if you have any questions as you go. Right? So time is up. Please send me your essays or what you have written so far. It's okay if you haven't finished, but send what you have. Okay, if you want, you can send me a link to the document that you have, in case you wrote it in a Google Doc. And if not, you can just copy and paste the essay into the Zoom chat, and I'll be pasting it here. Okay, guys. So please send me your essays. Okay, so I got Noelia's already. Let's see. Okay, it says that I need access. Maybe you can try changing the settings to everybody that has the link can be a viewer.
Just a moment, please. Okay, I think that is ready.
Yes, it's here. Okay, perfect. So it was about this manuscript and different theories about who wrote this manuscript, right? Because it's a coded manuscript. So let's take a look a little bit of reading. So yes, it says in 1912, a bookseller named Wilfred Voynich acquired a beautifully illustrated handwritten book. So it's a manuscript that resembles manuscripts written in the 15th and 16th centuries, but it's written in a completely unknown script. No one has been able to decode the script and understand the book's content. We have three different theories. First theory is that it's a genuine work on some scientific or magical subject composed in a complex secret code, and they propose a specific author, right? Anthony S. Chan. Then they say that another theory is that the manuscript is just fake and it has no meaning and it was just created and sold and created with the purpose of selling it to rich people, right? So by this Edward Kelly, who extracted money from nobles pretending to have magical powers. And the final theory is that it's actually a modern fake created by Wilfred Voynich himself, and that he had the knowledge of what the old manuscripts look like, so he could have created the manuscript to fool people. And the professor obviously refutes to each one of those theories, explaining why those are not possible theories. So let's see what Noelia has. It says, the article and lecture both discuss the Voynich manuscript. The author claims that this manuscript is well known for being written on special paper and using complex writing. Okay, I think what you mean here, this manuscript is well known for being for being written, right? Por estar escrito, for being written on special paper. And using complex writing, and provides 3 theories explaining their purpose. However, the professor argues that none of these theories are convincing, objecting to each one of them. Okay, this is really good, but what I would say here, what I would change, this is the context, right? This is the context as to what this manuscript is. So the context, I would place it here. I would say the article and lecture both discuss the Voynich manuscript and then always explain a little bit more about the topic. It's a manuscript, I don't know, that a bookseller possessed, which is well known for being written on special paper and using coding, right, or complex writing. And then you need to say the author claims that, and then you need to talk about the main idea. The main idea and what the author says is that nobody knows the real meaning, right? It says to date, no one has been able to decode the script and understand the book's content. So that is what you have to say in that second sentence. The author claims that no one has been able to decode the manuscript and understand the book's content, and provides 3 theories explaining its purpose, right? The purpose of the writing. Either way, careful with the grammar part. If you're talking about the manuscript here, then you will have to use a different pronoun because it's not plural. So the theory is explaining its purpose. So maybe that would be one suggestion. Usually when you have theories, it's always like this. So you have one specific thing, one specific phenomenon, you explain it, and then you say the author claims that nobody knows this or that, and provides 3 theories explaining this or that. However, the professor argues that none of these theories are convincing and objects to each one. So maybe that for your introduction, careful also with the grammar here. But overall, I'd say it's great in terms of content. You really are showing that you have a great understanding of what was said. And it's, I would say, a complete introduction. I don't think there are any important ideas. Now let's see the body paragraphs. It says the article starts by stating that the manuscript was written on a very complex codification and represented with illustrations similar to ashram workbooks. Okay, this is great, but this is not really the main idea. This is what you should have said in the introduction, right? If you needed to. It's okay if you didn't mention exactly something like this, but the main idea in this paragraph, the theory, is that it's a genuine work on scientific or magical subject, right? Written by Anthony Ashram. So this is what you needed to say. The theory in itself is that this manuscript is it's a scientific work or a magical subject written by this person. So maybe you could say something like that. The article starts by stating that the manuscript could have been written by Ashram on a scientific subject or on a magical subject, maybe. Because that is a theory. The first theory is that this Ashram wrote the book or the manuscript on a scientific subject or a magical subject. Because if you just say that this manuscript is represented with illustrations similar to him, these are the details, right? This is the evidence of why this theory, of what this theory is based on, right? This theory is based on this evidence that the illustrations are similar. But at the end of the day, the main idea is that maybe this Ashram guy wrote the text. Maybe consider rephrasing. Careful the difference between writing and written, which is the participle form. When you have the passive voice, you need to use the participle form of the verb. The manuscript was written. The manuscript was read. It was created. It was seen. It was done. So the participle form. So careful with the content, careful with the grammar. Although it's not far away from what the theory actually is about. Now, nevertheless, the professor talks about Ashram, who is an ordinary scientist. For example, his book, It Is Not Writing Using Codes. Okay, all right. It's okay. I think you got the idea, but consider rephrasing it, so making it a little bit more clear. So nevertheless, the professor says, first, contrast. Siempre primero el contraste, ¿no? El article dice que este manuscript pudo haber sido un trabajo sobre ciencia o sobre algo mágico, escrito por este Asham. Primero se contrasta. Decimos, nevertheless, the professor talks about, or the professor says that Asham could not have written this manuscript, ¿no? Que Asham no pudo haber escrito este manuscrito, que no puede ser cierta esta teoría. Y luego se explica por qué, ¿no? This is because he was an ordinary scientist who did not need to code, or he did not need to code. Creo que lo que dice acá es que él no tenía nada nuevo, ¿no? Ninguna idea nueva, ninguna idea especial. Entonces, who did not need to code his work because he had no new ideas, por ejemplo, ¿no? Esa es la explicación. Ahora este for example no necesariamente tiene que estar ahí, a no ser que tengamos un ejemplo. En este caso no hay ningún ejemplo. Este no es un ejemplo, sino una idea general. Así que no es necesario mencionar el por ejemplo, pero sí explicar, ¿no? His books were not written using codes. Sus libros no fueron en el pasado, were not written, participio using codes. Entonces, voz pasiva. Creo que ese punto de gramática deberíamos repasar. La voz pasiva. Y, bueno, en este caso el it está de más. Bien, los pronombres, ¿no? His books were not written using codes. Ok. La idea se entiende, pero no está tan clara como podría estar. Siempre hay que contrastar y conectar las ideas más en esta primera oración. Nevertheless, the professor says that he did not write the manuscript. And then you explain why. Because he was an ordinary scientist, because he had no new ideas, he didn't need to use codes, or he didn't write using codes. Now for the second one, we have, as a second theory, the lecturer states that the manuscript probably was fake with one purpose to sell it to the nobles. Muy bien. Esta idea está muy bien. Está bien en cuanto al contenido, porque es una teoría, entonces probablemente era falsa, no 100%. So the lecturer states that the manuscript was probably fake and created with the purpose to be sold to the nobles. Muy bien. Primero, la terminología. Lecture es lo que escuchamos, ¿no? Lecture es el listening. Reading es la lectura. Entonces, the reading, the article states that the manuscript was probably, los adverbios vienen después del verbo, was probably fake, created with the purpose to be sold to the nobles. Bien. On the other hand, the professor explains that even though it was the reason of the times that people were easy to fool, so it doesn't need a complex writing. Okay, cuidado con la idea, ¿no? Even though se utiliza para contrastar. Es decir, a pesar de... Entonces, aquí creo que no tiene mucho sentido usarlo, porque no estamos contrastando, simplemente estamos explicando. On the other hand, the professor explains that during those times, durante ese tiempo, or at that time, people were easy to fool, ¿no? Instead of the people, solamente people, porque hablamos de personas en general. So, people were easy to fool, comma, so it wouldn't make sense or it wouldn't be necessary to have complex writing to fool them, ¿no? Entonces no sería necesario escribir algo decodificado tan complejo como este manuscrito para engañar a la gente. Pasado en vez de presente, ¿no? Estamos hablando de lo que pasó hace tiempo. Entonces, so it wasn't necessary for him to write something so complex. Entonces, algunos detalles que faltan que son importantes es quizá el nombre del que se propone que fue el escritor, ¿no? Edward Kelly. Entonces sería importante mencionar eso, explicar un poco más, tal vez dividir esta oración si es que no tenemos muchas ideas, y tal vez un closing idea, ¿no? Therefore, Edward Kelly could not be responsible for the manuscript, tal vez. Pero no está mal, se entiende la idea, de igual manera podría estar un poco más clara, hay que tener cuidado de no usar transiciones o conectores que no son apropiados, even though es para contraste, a pesar de que es verdad que en ese tiempo Edward Kelly escribía cosas para engañar a la gente era más fácil de engañar. Entonces, algo así, un contraste, pero aquí no hay contraste. En vez de so, siempre podemos buscar otro tipo de transiciones. Therefore, hence, as a result. Y así también tenemos dos oraciones. Tratamos de no usar contracciones. En el writing es mejor no usar contracciones. Mantenerlo lo más formal y lo más académico posible. Y cuidado con aunque ahorita está bien, ¿no? Writing sería escritura. Reading, escrito. Muy bien, and finally the author points out that another theory is that the book could be a recently creation. Ok, no sé si eso resume muy bien lo que propone la lectura. La lectura dice, another theory is that the manuscript is actually a modern fake created by Voynich himself, ¿no? Entonces es importante decir esto. Sí es necesario parafrasear, pero sin perder la idea, ¿no? Que el manuscrito es una copia moderna falsa creada por Voynich himself, porque él sabía de libros y sabía cómo imitar manuscritos antiguos. Entonces, él pudo haber imitado un manuscrito antiguo. Entonces, podríamos decir, the author points out that another theory is that the book could be a recent creation, en vez de recently creation, a recent fake creation by Voynich, ¿no? Es importante mencionar quién. By Voynich himself, porque Voynich era el que tenía el manuscrito, ¿no? El editor, el bookseller, el vendedor de libros que tenía el escrito. Entonces, still, this could not happen because it was written before Voynich. Exacto, esta idea está muy bien y está bien explicada. Esto no puede ser cierto, this could not be true because the manuscript was written before Voynich's time, ¿no? Antes del tiempo de Voynich. Y aquí un poco más de explicación de la parte científica, ¿no? Se pudo comprobar que ha sido escrito 400 años antes, lo que mencionan. The ink, the paper, la tinta, el papel, maybe some more details, but overall it's not bad. It's just practicing a little bit more, reviewing a few of the grammar points, como la voz pasiva, los pronombres, ¿qué más dijimos? Y más que todo el contenido, ¿no? Bueno, el uso de conectores, vocabulario en cuanto a conectores. Después, el contenido, sí, tratar de no cambiar tanto la información al parafrasear, ¿no? Tal vez practicar parafrasear. Usualmente es la primera oración la que hay que parafrasear, ¿no? Pero en este caso los nombres también eran importantes. Entonces, un poquito de la segunda. Pero por lo demás, yo diría que está bien, es cuestión de practicar un poco más y también en el tiempo, que supongo que ha sido un factor bastante importante, right? Maybe you ran out of time and that's why you didn't have time to correct. But time management is all about practicing. So it's nothing to worry about. It's mostly about reviewing those specific things. Okay, guys.
Thank you.
Do you have any questions so far? Or maybe does anyone have any other suggestion here? And what about the rest of you guys? Was Noelia the only one who wrote the essay? What were you guys doing during this time? Was she the only one? Really? Nobody else wrote anything? Come on, guys. Really? Nobody? Okay, well, that's not a good thing, right? You need to practice. If you don't practice, then, I mean, you're not going to make any progress. And also you need to receive some feedback in order to know what to practice and what to work on, right? So like, let's say in this case, I'm telling you, so focus on the passive voice, focus on maybe learn a few more connectors. So then you can go and do those things. But if you don't know what to do, then you're just going to continue making the same mistakes over and over again. So, okay, guys. That's too bad because today was our last class, as I was telling you before, to work on this question. It's a practice session for question 1, and that's it. You already sent your essays. I have received them. I haven't checked them yet. I'm going to check them by the end of this week. They will all be ready in your mailboxes. I'm still waiting for the other group to also finish sending their essays, and I'll be checking them all at once. And you'll get your feedback by the end of this week, which is when we're going to finish with the writing section. And you still have to write one more essay, or not essay, one more writing for the second task. Okay, tomorrow we'll start with the second writing task. Okay, guys. So do you have any questions before we go? Is everything clear? Everything okay? Do you really not want to show me anything that you wrote?
I just wrote only 2 paragraphs, not too much.
Okay, it's okay. Whatever you wrote is fine. You know, we can still give it a look. It's okay if right now you weren't able to finish. But it's gonna take some time, you know, some time and obviously some practice. But send me what you have, Adrian.
I will send it.
Okay. Okay. So let's see, I'm going to paste it here. All right, so both the article and lecture discuss who was the real author of the Voynich manuscript. Reading Extra claims that the book was written around the 15th and 16th centuries. Nowadays, nobody could decipher the text, decode the text of the manuscript, and provides 3 arguments of support. Okay. So I would say it's good so far. I would not probably have 2 sentences because it complicates things a little bit. It's okay if you have 2 sentences, but then you will have to change the template a little bit. You cannot have this and provide 3 arguments of support because now, I mean, this and provides 3 arguments of support has to be continuing what you said in the same sentence, right? ¿Quién nos da 3 argumentos de ayuda? Teníamos que mencionar acá el reading extract, en la misma oración, ¿no? Entonces, si vas a tener 2 oraciones, está bien, pero tendríamos que cambiar el template. Tendríamos que decir, the reading extract claims that the book was written around the 15th and 16th centuries, ¿está bien? Nowadays, nobody could decipher the text of the manuscript y dejarlo ahí, ¿no? Podríamos poner otra oración, algo así como, the author provides 3 arguments of support, pero of support of what? ¿No? En realidad, acá también está una parte que nos hemos equivocado, es que estás usando el template para el anterior tipo de pregunta, ¿no? Cuando teníamos argumentos, es decir, opiniones y razones. En este caso es algo desconocido y 3 teorías, ¿no? Entonces, the author provides 3 theories, 3 teorías explaining, or 3 theories, let's say, proposing different possible authors of the manuscript, ¿no? Algo así. Pero sí es se complica un poco porque cambiamos el template. Como consejo general, les podría decir, y tal vez eso ha influenciado también en cómo has manejado el tiempo, no pierdan mucho tiempo en la introducción, manténganla corta para enfocarse más en los body paragraphs, que es lo más importante. La introducción debería ser la parte más fácil y más rápida. Entonces, por ejemplo, con este template, solamente tienen que rellenar 2 oraciones, ¿no? La tercera ya está hecha. Entonces, si usamos el template sería más fácil y también se puede dar más tiempo para lo demás. Entonces, both the article and lecture discuss the Voynich manuscript. Aquí explicamos más sobre el manuscript, que era, it was a book that was written around the 15th and 16th centuries that was coded, ¿no? Y después decimos, the reading extra claims that nobody can decipher the text of the manuscript. and provides 3 theories proposing different possible authors for the manuscript, ¿no? Entonces, tal vez así sería más organizado. Usualmente cuando decimos the reading extract claims, tratemos de no mencionar hechos, ¿no? Let's try not to mention facts. Sino, más bien, la idea principal. La idea principal tiene que estar acá. La idea principal del reading es que no se sabe quién ha escrito el texto y hay 3 posibles autores, ¿no? Entonces, eso debería ir por esta parte. Entonces, tal vez como consejo, utilizar el template de las teorías y no tratar de cambiarlo mucho, al menos en la introducción. En los body paragraphs sí puedes explayarte un poco más, pero la introducción no es tan relevante. En cuanto a la gramática, I don't think I found any grammar errors. I think everything's okay. I like the grammar. You're using passive voice correctly. I like the modals that you're using. I like the vocabulary too. So, no, the professor argues none of the 3 authors in the article couldn't write the book objecting to each of the authors' arguments. Está muy bien, pero sentence structure. Aquí ya estás mencionando el sujeto. Cuando dices ninguno de estos 3 autores, directamente al verbo, ¿no? En el artículo, pudieron haber escrito el libro. Entonces, el de ya está de más. El pronombre reemplaza al sustantivo. Pero como ya tenemos el sustantivo y tenemos el sujeto, no necesitamos el pronombre. None of the 3 authors in the article could write the book. None ya es negación. Entonces, si dices none could not, es doble negación. Como decir, nadie escribió el libro, ¿no? No es nadie no escribió el libro. Entonces, none of these 3 authors in the article could write the book. Comma, objecting to each of the author's theories. ¿No? Tal vez algunos comentarios, pero por lo general se entiende la idea. Un poco de gramática, la doble negación, palabras con no one, nobody, never, y no se repite la negación. Now, the article starts by stating that maybe Anthony Asham was the real author of the Voynich manuscript. Perfecto, muy buena oración. Creo que resume la idea. Mencionamos al autor y la idea es que probablemente fue él, ¿no? No es necesario tanto explicar qué hacía, pero podrías haber dicho un poquito más. Maybe Anthony Asham was the real author who wrote about a scientific or magical subject in the manuscript. ¿No? Algo así, tal vez. Pero está bien. Now, nevertheless, in the presentation, it is noted that the real author could have had, must have had, or should have had, debería haber tenido, an important information. So he decided to code it, ¿no? Lo decidió codificar. But Anthony was a normal researcher with no authentic ideas. Muy bien, el contenido está perfecto. Esto es exactamente lo que dice el docente, ¿no? Que Anthony era un investigador normal, no tenía necesidad de codificar el texto. En cuanto a la gramática, esta oración es un poco larga, tenemos 2 conectores, ¿no? Solo podemos tener uno. Entonces, acá punto, however, nevertheless, Anthony was a normal researcher with no authentic ideas. Therefore, he had no reason to code the manuscript. No hubiera tenido ninguna razón. For example, Little Herbal was a description of common plants that used information from other books. Muy bien. Diferencia entre other y another. Other se utiliza para plural, another para singular. Another book, other books. Está muy bien. Tenemos el ejemplo, la idea principal. Sí me gustaría una pequeña frase que contraste directamente con lo que estamos diciendo acá. Anthony podría ser el autor real y una frasecita aquí que diga, however, Anthony was a normal researcher with no authentic ideas. As a result, he could not have been the author, ¿no? Él no puede ser el autor. He can't be the author. Tal vez eso como un comentario también en cuanto al contenido, pero creo que nada más. En general está muy bien. Y el tiempo, ¿no? Es cuestión de practicar el tiempo y también de no hacerlo perfecto. Pueden escribir al principio con errores, que no es perfecto, aunque no estén 100% contentos con lo que están escribiendo, lo importante es terminar el ensayo y luego vuelven a corregir. Pero está muy bien. So what do you think now? Do you have any questions?
I have one, but it is not so relevant. In, in the sentence that states, for example, Lewis Herbal, should I explain who is the writer? Or is or está explícito?
¿Cómo? ¿Deberías explicar un poco sobre él, dices? Sobre Anthony.
Claro, claro, la oración que da el ejemplo. Key example. For example, Living Herbal has a description of common plants that use the information from other roots. Tengo que explicar que ese libro es el libro de Anthony Ascam.
No, no necesariamente. Se entiende que es de él. Si quieres hacerlo más claro, podrías decir, ¿no? His book, Little Herbal, was a description of, tal vez, pero no es necesario. Se entiende que es su libro, porque además también dices, no autenticarías. Entonces luego es una explicación de sus ideas. Una de sus ideas es este libro, ¿no? Los que están. No, no es necesario, ¿se entiende? Si quisieras hacerlo explícito, podrías poner, ¿no? His book, Little Herbal, was a description of, algo así. Pero se entiende.
Okay.
Any other questions? Okay, guys. So please, today we actually have to complete 2 daily surveys. The first one is on your screens, and as soon as you guys are done, I'll send the other one as well. So please, if you can stay for a little bit before leaving the session. Okay, guys, thank you so much. Now I'm sending the other one as well. And that's going to be for today's session. I will see you guys tomorrow. As I said, we're going to start with the next question. We'll have a theory class, so make sure that you join.
Thank you. See you tomorrow.
Bye-bye, Noelia.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. See you tomorrow.
Love you.